Why, hello. Num num num. Hello and welcome to another Wednesday afternoon of live stream creativity and community connection. Welcome to the Pop-Up Art Studio here on Facebook. It's so great to be here again and to be having, to have this time with the community. Time to create, time to connect. Hello, Wendy. Hello to everyone out there who's watching. It's a good week for some making. I'm feeling the need for artsiness in my day. I don't know about you, but things are getting hectic. The winter is getting cooler. We're all getting a little, busier as the holidays approach and everything that comes with that. So it's nice to have some time just to sit here and make with you and chat with you for the next hour and a half. To folks who may not be familiar with the live stream, welcome. This is just like the art studio time, except we're connecting from our own homes, our own places, wherever we might be today. And everyone is welcome to join, watch, listen. If you'd like to chat with me and say hello, feel free to just say hello in the comments. If you're just watching without participating in the chat, I won't be able to see that you're out there, but you know what? I believe in you. I believe in all those folks who are out there watching or listening, and I hope that this time is as beneficial to you as it is to me. But again, if you do want to participate in the chat, say hi, let us know. Just put a little comment there in the comment section and then I can see who's out there watching or listening along. Also, if you'd like to share what you're working on, if you've got any projects on the go or things that you've been working on that you're excited about or perhaps not excited about, maybe you're finding yourself in a stuck place and you don't know what to do, not a bad idea to put it out there to the community. You never know who might be of resource to you. Someone might be listening or watching who's been there and done that, or maybe is right there right now experiencing what you're going through. And you might be able to support one another through whatever it is you're going through. Might be creative. Sometimes it's about life stuff too, right? Art and life, they cross over, don't they? So feel free to let us know how you're doing, what's going on, and what kind of creativity is filling your time these days? Or perhaps you wish it to be filling your time. As I mentioned, this is the first time this week I've had to sit down and make something, really. So I'm wondering if I should just get to it. Should I? I don't know. Oh, yeah, just a reminder, again, to those folks who might be new to the live stream, before I get started making, this is a place for you to do what you need to do. So take care of yourselves. You don't need to stay for the whole hour and a half. If all you can do is visit for a few minutes, that's okay. No judgment here. It's just like at the studio space where folks would drop in, say hi, grab a cup of coffee, work on something for a little bit, and then maybe leave, do the other things they had to do in their day. All of that is fine. So no judgment if you can't stay here for the entire live stream. You can always watch it later once it's been archived on Facebook. If you do, just know that I might not be able to respond to the comments right away. So if there's something you really need to let me know, or a question you have, or a comment of some kind, feel free to email me at info@livingroomcommunityartstudio.org. Got it? Okay, good. The next thing, of course, is that piece about self-care. Please do what you need to do to take care of yourself today. And if anything happens during this live stream that makes you feel weird, uncomfortable, I don't know, whatever it might be, do what feels right for you to take care of yourself. That might be letting me know and keeping me accountable, saying, hey, weird art lady, what you just said made me feel weird. Was that your intention? And then we can have a conversation about it, or I can work on myself so that I can be more effective in supporting other folks in my community. Or you can send me a message later on in an email, like I just said, to let me know. Of course, stepping away for you, sometimes you don't need to say anything at all. Just do you. And that's the thing that matters most. We're all just trying to human the best that we possibly can in every given moment and every given day. And that is a creative process all in itself. So I get it. And I know that you folks out there get it too. So let's see. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I feel like doing a bit of weaving today. Weaving, maybe mixing in with wire work. I guess the wire stuff is like just been hanging around, getting in my way for a while. And every once in a while, I don't know about you, but when I have supplies that are getting in my way, sometimes things that I'm literally tripping over as I'm trying to move around in like my little creative space here, sometimes it's a signal to me. I take it as a little bit of a symbol, nothing mystical, but just a sign of why not make art with that thing that you keep bumping into. Maybe it'll bring you some joy. And hello, Shelley. How you doing? So today it's about wire and weaving, two things that have been kind of in my face for a little while now, and I've been neglecting a little bit. I love weaving, but sometimes it takes a while, so I'm not always sure if it's the best thing to do during a live stream, but I thought, hey, why not? Why not? Also, I think there's something lovely about, there's just something about weaving that is very comforting around this time of year. I imagine if I could knit well, that I might be knitting or crocheting, something about working with fibers and textures and threads. But since I don't knit very well and I don't know how to crochet except to do one single ever long, never-ending chain stitch, I'm going to do a little bit of weaving. And that hopefully will kind of hit the spot with regards to working with fibers, and then I'll be able to create something that maybe is a gift for someone. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm going to see about this because, of course, this time of year, all our thoughts turn to what can we do, what can we make to show other folks how we appreciate them. What can we make that might help us feel special in a time of consumerism where everything is about buying and buying and selling and selling, and I'm sure all our email boxes are full of different kinds of campaigns asking us to support them, and it's not a bad thing, but every once in a while I think it's also okay to step back and recognize that perhaps there's other things we could be doing with our time, and there are different ways we can support one another. Sometimes it just gets a little too much for me. And Shelley's saying, oh, I'm glad, Shelley, you're doing good. That's fantastic. Doing good that's pretty awesome. I count those days as a win. We might not be doing spectacular, but good is good enough. And I think I need to offer some clarification about that comment there, because yesterday was Giving Tuesday, so I'm not necessarily talking about all the awesome organizations doing amazing things out there and reaching out for people's support. That is a beautiful thing. In the living room, we have some fantastic supporters out there as well. It just can sometimes feel a little all at once, you know? If you've been experiencing any of that, you can feel free to share and let me know too. But finding ways to make this time we have special every single day, whatever moment we have. And sometimes special can just be taking, that time to slow down. And unplug and all of that. Which is a little strange coming from me during a live stream, I realize. So what am I doing here? I'm just wrapping this little mini frame that I have here with some lovely, nice kind of crewel thread to create a little weaving thing. I'm not going to weave through both layers, but I like having the extra length that's wrapped around the other side, because what I might do is once I take this weaving off this frame, I might create a kind of metal or wire work frame to either suspend it in or hang it from, weave around it or into it. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like. I just know how I want to combine the two somehow. So I have some of this really thick kind of wire here. I'm not even sure where I found that, how that came into my life, to tell you the truth. Little bits and pieces from other projects that have been abandoned or orphaned along the way, and some simple steel wire here, which is just some galvanized steel wire that you can find in any old hardware store. Don't know which ones I'm going to be using yet for this project. I'll see how it goes. And how do I want to start this project off? Let's see. I'm going to begin with some of this. And I might, because it's so thin, I might do a double layer. I might as well leave these scissors out since I'm going to be using them quite a bit. And I do love weaving, and I love these. This is a mini loom, one of the mini looms we created at the studio with our laser engraver there. We still have some kits, and that, you know, we used to sell them in our art shop. And if you'd like one, let me know, because we still have some here that I can share with folks. And there is this lovely needle here that comes with the kit that works quite well. But on this thread, depending on how fuzzy the thread is or the yarn is that you're using to weave, it can get stuck on things. So because I don't feel like sanding that down right now, I'm just going to use an ordinary, just a little old embroidery needle to get started on this piece. And pick my way through it. Folks, please do feel free to let me know what you're working on too out there. We have some amazingly creative folks out there in the community. And I'm hoping everyone is feeling okay with their craftiness, their artsiness, whatever you want to call it. Along with the pressure to create for gifts sometimes, I know that, yeah, that can put a damper on things too. The expectation or the desire to make other folks happy with what we create. I know that I always have a long list of things I've always intended to make for people in my life. And that list is mostly of incompleted things that I've just never gotten around to finishing. I start and then never have time to finish. And then holiday season comes around and I put it on the list and I say, well, maybe next year. I don't think I'm alone in that. But definitely another reason to be kind to ourselves in this process, this creative process. Now, as with all my weaving projects, similar to my knitting projects that I've done, I'm going to try and, you know what? I'm going to try to relax. I'm going to try to remember that I don't have to pull it really, really tight. I'd love for this piece to not be scrunched in the middle, which is what often happens when I'm weaving away and not thinking about it too much. So I'm going to try and be present with this piece today so it doesn't get scrunched up. Whoa, hello, Brandon. Brandon saying I'm insulating a concrete floor. Not a super creative thing, but I guess I'm creating an inside space. Many creative things going on there all at once, and you can't tell me that mixing concrete is not a creative endeavor, because every time I've done it in my own life, not well, I might say, but that is definitely something that requires a certain touch and like to feel it out, to see if it's exactly so. Oh, you're insulating it, so that might involve styrofoam as well. So I hope that you're not. I hate the sound of styrofoam. Even just thinking about it makes my shoulders right up around my ears. But Brandon, that greenhouse that you're working on, if I may just draw some attention to that for a moment, folks. He's creating this fantastic greenhouse, and I have so many questions about it. I want to know how it's going, how it handled that first winter storm. Many questions. So excited. And so but I know you're insulating the floor. So if you can't comment and you got to keep working, you just go for it. I'm quite capable, as you can see, of having a conversation with myself. But one thing that Brandon brought up in the little video I watched about your greenhouse experiment is something I hadn't really thought of before, because I'm kind of an accidental gardener, as in so many of the things I do, was that depending on which way your greenhouse faces, you don't necessarily have to have every wall open and glassy, for lack of a better term. You could actually be losing heat through one side of your greenhouse, which if you want to have an extended growing year, that's a good thing to know about. And I hadn't thought about that with all the good intentions, I might actually be losing some of that heat I'm trying to keep inside that space. That's fantastic. Oh, styrofoam. Yes, Brendan's using styrofoam. It's all good. I can't hear it. the imagination thing. Don't worry, I have an overactive imagination anyways. I'll be fine. And Wendy's saying, today I'm working on handmade present tags and cards. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And a nice thing to do early enough if you can do it, so that it's not one of those things that I sometimes do, which is try and cram everything in the last minute, and something that could be a really peaceful, relaxing, joyful experience becomes a kind of like frustrating battle with myself to get it all done in time. I suppose now is a really good time, if you have the time, to sit and create some of those things that you know you'll need later on. Oh, so beautiful. And I can imagine everything you're creating, Wendy. So, so beautiful. So beautiful, yeah. And if I'm waving around this weaving too much, just let me know, folks. I know it's a tinier thing this week, so it's a little bit more difficult to see. So let me know if you want a close-up. Oh, interesting. So Brandon's saying, with regards to, I think, losing heat, that solar energy, they call it a passive solar greenhouse. So much to learn. I've got so much to learn. So if I Google that, maybe I shall find some more information about that, because I think I'd like to experiment a little bit more with extending my growing season. I've still got things in the garden that are doing fairly well, like my kale. My parsley inside the greenhouse doesn't mind the chill so much, and it's doing really well, better than any other time. I think because I was a little less, I ignored it this summer a little bit, and I think it liked being ignored. I think it likes the frost as well. I think it likes the cold a little more. But I'm just happy to have parsley seeing me through this season. And I think it's a strange thing, but already I'm looking forward to the next growing season. And I think that I might not be alone in that either. I think in times of stress and uncertainty, one of the things that helps me feel grounded and calm is growing things. And usually I don't get excited about that until, deeper into the winter, like a February, late January maybe, but February for sure. But I'm already thinking about it. I'm already thinking about what I want to plant and where I'll plant it this year. And I think that's because growing things kind of refuels my hope. It re-sparks that. It reignites my sense of hope and the momentum that comes along with having hope about what lies ahead. Let me know if you are going through a similar thing or not, because I'm not the boss of you. But seeding those opportunities for hope, so to speak, I think it's important. Planning little things for yourself so that you have those things to look forward to and get excited about. Oh, good, not alone. Brennan's also looking forward to the next growing season. And now you have so much more space to do it, I imagine. Oh my gosh. Although you had a full summer did you have a full season there this year? I know you were settling in and everything. New opportunities. And of course, the land, you have a better relationship with your garden by now as well. And it is so much about relationship, isn't it? Taking the time to get to know the spaces we're in, the things we're doing, how we feel about the things we're doing in the spaces we're in. That's one of the things I think about with the Mobile Art Hive all the time. Oh, folks, yes, so save the date if you haven't already seen the post. We are going to be having another virtual event, a live stream on YouTube this time, to introduce folks to the Mobile Art Hive and thank Trillium for all of their support, along with all the other champions we've had along the way. So that includes a lot of folks out there who are watching right now or who might be watching later on. But it'll be also a Q&A. So after we share, give folks a tour of the Mobile Art Hive and let them know what, generally what's it about. We're going to have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can let us know then, or you can send them to me in advance so I can think about them, especially if they're a little tricky. But just on the note of like having relationships with things or places or spaces, it's a completely new thing. I've never really had a vehicle before in this way. I've never understood what other people feel when they talk about their cars or their boats if they're lucky enough to have a boat, or even their bicycles sometimes, because I don't know how to ride a bike. We can talk about that later. But I've never understood the relationship that people have with those things. And for now, for the first time ever, I'm beginning to get it. And of course, after closing the studio space last November, it was just, we just closed it, I think, when November came last year. So, yeah, just over a year without having that studio space. I also, after the fact, after not having it, realized that I'd had a relationship with that space. That wasn't always easy, but it was important. And I think because we were always looking for ways just to support the project and keep it going, that I never took the time I should have to get to know it and listen to it, to learn what it wanted to be, if that makes sense. Oh, lovely. And on the note of learning about the spaces in the garden, Brandon's saying unlimited space to grow, which is exciting, but also daunting. Yeah, I can imagine. And it's, you know what? And maybe even in a tiny way relate. Maybe not. It's not a garden. The Mobile Art Hive isn't a garden, but for the first time ever, we have, like, the possibilities are, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of things we can do with this Mobile Art Hive that we couldn't do before with a physical space alone. So I find myself in a slightly similar position, being super excited about the many different things we can do, but also knowing that I should probably be a little more focused, you know? People who know me know that I can get really excited about things very easily and perhaps take on very ambitious projects without considering all the angles. I think a lot of artists do that. I think we get so excited about things, we just want to do it. We want to get stuck in. We want to see it happen. And because of a lot of artists, and myself included, we learn along the way. We're experiential learners in that sense. That the only way we can move forward really is by getting stuck into something. And that includes all the mistakes we make along the way and all the things that we wanted to go right that didn't go right and that we hope will go right. And because of all the other things happening, maybe they never get a chance to reach the point where we can even evaluate them. But with that unlimited possibility, there's a lot of dreaming and envisioning. And there's also kind of that conversation I suppose we have to have with ourselves where we decide what we can manage, which is a self-care piece too, isn't it? What do we want to manage? What do we want to focus on? Not necessarily in a way of, what, like the strategic planning kind of idea of, choose and focus and, storm ahead, all that. That's fine. But I think when it comes to creativity sometimes, it's a slightly different approach, isn't it? We need to recognize how much energy we might have, what sparks, I hate this phrase, but there is something to it. What generates excitement and enthusiasm within ourselves? What will hold? What will last? We don't always know. But what will give us the most mileage when it comes to creative pleasure and satisfaction, but also developing and generating the results that we hope to see. It's an interesting thing, growing a garden. And you've got a lot of space, so I would say it's a farm, not so much a garden. Isn't that true? A lot of questions to explore, a lot of conversations to have. And hopefully we learn along the way what it is we really truly want. Of course, leaving opportunities to grow and discover along the way. But yes, learning about this weird little bus that we have out there now, learning about what it wants, what it needs, how we can best, use it. even just becoming familiar with it, the space, moving around the space, being comfortable in the space, imagining how we can create space outside of it. All of these are questions that I sometimes enjoy, but they're also sometimes a little intimidating too. I think self-care, compassion, honesty, those will be things that will hopefully guide me and the team we've got working with us during this time. Yeah, and Brandon is saying, yeah, 100% biggest problem is I want to do so many different things, even though I know that may not be the most sustainable approach, kind of just hoping it works out. And that's an absolute way to go about it. I think it is a creative project. Anything that you do that is creative, if you have the luxury of being able to make mistakes, not every industry or business or creative process in the world allows for that, I understand. But if you can take those creative risks, and we'll always learn from them, won't we? What we learn from them will be so, so valuable. There's a sculptor named Grayson Perry, and I think I was watching something the other day, and he's had carved into the concrete floor of his studio, creativity is mistakes. I love that. I love that he's actually embedded that in his creative space. And I think it's basically the idea there is, everything we learn from trying things out, from experimenting and... Oops. Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. I missed a stitch there, I suppose. I'm just going to go back because I know I want to get creative with the kind of weaving I do in a moment, but not just yet. So I'm just going to go backtrack a little bit there. Oh, ho, ho. And with fuzzy thread, not always the easiest thing to do. Yeah. We learn, we grow, we develop. And it's exciting to see where these choices, where these creative risks will take us. All right. So let's cut that off now. Let's trim that away. And the one thing, oh, do I have one in here? Oh, no, I don't. I don't have my little comb with this kit. My little loom comb. So just kind of squish this down. Squish, 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 squish. And I'll have time once I remove this from the loom to knot it off and secure it so nothing unravels in a way I don't want it to. Just going to trim that back. Do I want to trim that back a little bit? Maybe not. Because I might weave that in later, so you know what? I'm going to leave it. So what next? I think some fuzzy fluffiness is next, and I may have to use this for this part of the, so I'm going to pick up my little wooden embroidery needle. I'm just going to do a little short thread here. And I have no plot, no sense of exactly what I'm doing. I'm just rolling with it here. I'm just going with the flow. As ever. One thing about these live streams that I find really, really useful as a creator is that when I give myself this time with the community, because it's such a reasonably short time, I don't have time to fret and fuss in the way I normally do when I'm creating on my own. Does that make sense? So I follow different impulses that I might not normally follow on my own. Just because I want to see how it works. I want to see what it looks like. I want to get her done. So again, thank you to everyone who's here. Because you help me. You help me with that issue, which is a very serious issue. A little bit about perfectionism, a little bit about just getting lost in the moment. But similar to, identifying the goals we want and moving towards them, a little bit of structure is good, right? So the time limit on these live streams is actually helpful to me sometimes. And although I encourage everyone, continue creating, doing what you want to do in the time you have to do it. You don't have to stop making art when the live stream ends, obviously. Just like you don't have to wait for the live stream to start to make whatever you're making or work on whatever you're working on. But a little bit of structure helps me get things going at least. All right. And I don't think did I mention the date, the save the date for the event. So the live stream event, because I feel like I have to, will be on December 16th. I believe that's a Thursday, 7 p.m. on YouTube. More information to come about that later. We're going to be posting the event with links and things like that. But for now, know that you're all invited from the comfort of your own living rooms, wherever you might be, to join, to watch, to celebrate, to ask questions, whatever. But I suppose maybe that's not something we've talked about before that would be nice to talk about. What do people do when you're feeling overwhelmed, in the sense of there are too many options, there are too many things you want to do? What do you do to help break it down, to help focus? To give yourself permission to start, because sometimes if there's just too much, if there are too many opportunities or too many materials, it's hard to start. That was one thing that happened at the studio quite frequently, and it was a normal and natural thing. And people would come in and they would just be overwhelmed by the amount, of supplies and tools, the things that were on hand for them to work with. And all we could do is let them know that that's okay. That's totally normal. And it's okay to take your time. You don't have to figure it out all at once. You don't have to come in with an idea of what you want to do. And sometimes having time to think about it is the best thing ever, right? It can help you focus. It can help you reconnect, kind of recalibrate a little bit. But at other times, I think all of us can relate to this. There are times or days where we want to create, or we're feeling that impulse, but it's just, there's so much. Where do we start? Where do we even begin? What do you do? Inquiring minds want to know. What are some things that might help you through? Feel free to put them in the comments, or even just reflect on it wherever you might be. Oh, my little comb isn't here, so I'm going to use the pliers to help squish this down, actually. Because I know this affects a lot of creative people, about the creative things they do. Chances are, if it impacts us in the creativity we do, it probably impacts us in other areas of our lives as well. I don't think it's a bad thing to want so many things, to be excited about many things. I suppose it's only a problem if it prevents us from actually starting on those things at all. All right. More fuzzy? Yes, please. Oops. Stay there, wire. Stay where you are. It's like knowing you have one day to create something. How many folks have been through that? Having a work week or a work day where you really want to do something, and so you set your mind to, okay, when I'm finished this, I'll do it. So that might be like on the weekend, I'm going to get stuck in, or as soon as I get home, I'm going to jump right in. And it's a strange feeling of excitement and enthusiasm for what lays ahead, that whatever it is you're going to do, and having time to do it. Some of us might even set out supplies. I know I have before. I'm like, if I set out the supplies, I'll definitely do it. I will definitely do it. There'll be no choice, no option but to do it. And of course, what happens a lot of the time is that by the time I get back and I'm so tired, or my brain is just used up all of that creative energy for something else, I just really can't do it. And I know a part of my brain knows, and this is, I think, all the writers out there will know this as well, is that if you just try, just get, start with something small and do that one little thing, even without the intention of doing the actual thing that you maybe wanted originally to do, but just giving yourself that one little nudge and jumping in. That can be the thing that opens the door for you. And once you start and once you focus, even though starting might actually feel, like a bit of homework. Oh, have I missed another thing there? Interesting. Yeah, once we get stuck in, it's kind of there's a lovely flow thing that happens. Oh, I see. So I'm just going to pull this out. I'm going to start on this side. No, I'll start on this side. I know with writing that's often the case for me, because writing is an important part of my creative self. And if I don't give myself the time to write, I suffer. It's a difficult thing. It's not like an overwhelming suffering, but somehow I just feel it. I feel stuck. I feel heavy. I feel distracted from the other stuff that I sometimes need to focus on, right? But giving ourselves that permission to get stuck in can feel so overwhelming at times. Where are you, little thread? Haha, I found you. And sometimes I guess that's just what other creatives call discipline. Because once I sit myself down and I just start to do it, even if I'm not feeling like doing it much, before I know it, I kind of get into the rhythm of it. You just soak into it. You just settle into it in a way that actually feels quite nice and relaxing. And you look up and all this time has passed. But what that thing is that helps us get stuck in, I don't know. Maybe it's different for every single person. Like going to the gym or something like that. You just kind of have to say, it's happening. I'm doing it. And you have to physically do it. Yeah. But if anyone has any suggestions out there, anything that you find helpful in getting yourself to that place, helping yourself to that place of getting stuck in, please feel free to share. Because as lovely as it is to wait for inspiration and to have those fantastic moments of discovery and just like the light bulb going on or the clouds parting and the sun shining through, I think sometimes for when it comes to making things, when it comes to learning about your artist self, it's also just about work. It's about commitment to yourself and that process, whatever it might be. And of course, at the end of it, there's always a lovely sense of reward or satisfaction, even if the thing you're working on isn't finished or it's not working out or at the place you want it to be, it can be. It's always a beautiful, beneficial thing. It's quiet out there today. I've been noticing that there's definitely a little dip. There's a definite sense of distraction out there that comes with this season as well. So some folks have been asking when our programming will wrap up for this year, when we'll kind of go on holiday. I think it might be a little different for every coordinator, every facilitator doing their thing. But it's looking like the 20th will be the last day of programming that we have. And it will probably end with a lovely wellness group, a wellness art group Zoom. So a Monday night wellness art group on December the 20th. I think I'm going to be going to that one. I think it'll be a nice way to connect and create and kick off that next leg of the seasonal activities that folks might have in their life with kind of mindfulness. Just a reminder, note to self, take care of ourselves, and also a chance to just see other folks in the community again and connect. All right, what have I got here? So, interesting. I see what I did again. Now, can you imagine me knitting as a part of this live stream? This is what it would be like. It would be me catching all of my dropped stitches. As lovely as fiber arts, these kind of textile arts are. Yep. They require a certain kind of... Well, isn't it funny? I am talking about attention, isn't it? I'm talking about attention and listening and detail and the discipline of doing something. Only makes sense that I'd be talking about that stuff while doing a weaving and probably doing it a little bit poorly, but that's okay. Because I'm doing it. And maybe this might be a finished, not perfect kind of scenario. And maybe by the time I complete this, the thing I thought it would be at the very beginning, maybe because of my mistakes or my lack of attention at certain times, it will be something unique. So perhaps there's something to that, making art while distracted, or being distracted to make art, or just getting stuck in, even if you don't feel particularly inspired. So let's see. I know it's not still early days yet, but let's have a little close-up to see how it's looking. So I've chosen to go with those soft whites and mossy greens and blues, and I think there's some greens and golds in there. Yeah, definitely a kind of relaxing, soothing, natural, kind of wintry vibe for me here. Let's do another layer of this. And then I might play around with some different kinds of stitches or weaving stitches, just because I can. Talking about not having time is also reminding me of all the students out there desperately dashing towards the finish line of their studies of this term that they're in. Thoughts are with you 100%. Well, 100%, really? That's an interesting thing to say, Mary, because no, my thoughts are not 100% with you. They're partially here. They're partially a little bit everywhere, because I think I'm also totally rushing to my own deadline. That's a feeling I don't like. I wish there's something, it's an important one to address. That as soon as December hits, there is this kind of deadline that I feel we all have within ourselves, that we're all running towards. It would be nice if it didn't feel that way, but I haven't quite. I think it's a sign that I'm still a human being. I haven't quite mastered what it means to not feel that way. don't know what the tricks are there yet, other than stopping to recognize when I'm feeling overwhelmed or when I'm feeling stressed, stepping back from something if I need to. I see, there you go. But I can't be the only one feeling that way as well. As we all work towards our goals. Because it is absurd how quickly this past year has gone. At least for me, it feels that way. And one more pass to go through the other side. Let's see what we got here. So folks might be tuning in right now, doing a little weaving, as you can see. And I'm hoping that I can get it to a place, enough of a place where I can remove it from our little mini loom and kind of string it up on like a little wire frame or build a frame around it with the wire. Maybe today's underlying theme for me in this live stream is something about structure. And how structure is helpful. I don't know. For those who are joining us, we're also, well, when I say us, me, we're talking about wanting all the things and wanting to do all the things. And how do we focus? How do we choose? How do we prioritize which tasks to take on, which self-care pieces to integrate? Where does making and creating fall into that? And how do we manage and have that care of ourselves in that process? What helps you get going? What helps you feel unstuck? What helps you focus? From time to time this past year, I've used a timer to help me with things. I don't know if anyone else out there has done that. This is just regarding tasks that happen, that are things I want to work on, knowing that I can get lost in them. Again, a lot of writers out there, you might be able to empathize with that. Getting to a place where you don't stop and go back and self-edit, where you can just work and let it be, let the project you're working on be whatever it wants to be, even though that might be, or might mean that it's kind of crappy. That's okay. So the timer has helped me in those cases. Just kind of be aware of how much time I'm investing in any given task. So that was a good takeaway point, I think, for me. The timer can be super, super useful. Lovely tool in the creative's toolkit. But if you have other tricks, tips, things that you do that work for you, please feel free to put them in the chat. Put them like now or after, later. Once we're all wrapped up here. It's all good. Not going to judge. I'm the last one to judge when it comes to that stuff. Here. Let's make sure I'm... There we are. Haha. So a little bit of single weave there. And I do love this yarn. been hanging around in my studio for over a year now, and I'm just getting around to using it, integrating it into a project now. Lovely mauves and yellows and golds and greens in there, just really lovely and soothing. And oh so fluffy. So back to my wooden needle here. You could also weave if you had a lovely big, like a knitting mending needle. What are those called? There's got to be a name for those that I can't. Or sometimes, what are they called? They're also called like a plastic lace needle that folks use. That would also work. And if you don't have a little loom like this, of course you can use something like you can make yourself a cardboard loom. Such a lovely and simple thing to create for yourselves if you want to play with weaving. Or if there's younger creators in your life that want to explore weaving. Just take some of that packaging that a lot of us have lying around, the cardboard packaging. Something thicker is usually a little better. It helps hold up with the tension of whatever you choose to use. If you're using yarn or torn like cut up t-shirt yarn, which is one of my favorite kind of yarns to work with in a lot of projects. A stiffer cardboard would definitely work. Yep, that works. There we go. I'm determined to get this at a decent space. Ah, shuttle. Thank you very much. A shuttle works as well. Is this, I feel like this might be used oftentimes in larger scale weaving projects. You have this as a shuttle and your yarn or your threads will be wrapped around this to keep all the different threads you're using separate, and that can be pushed through. I was up on all these weaving terms not so long ago, and then I lost the thread. Any puns that I am using today are completely unintentional, and this is serious. That is what happens to my brain. I wish I was clever enough to use them on purpose. And I'm reasonably clever. I would love to be one of those folks who could just pun away the day. But I'm not. I think I'm perhaps sometimes too sincere to pun. And yes, darning needle. That's it. That's what I was thinking about. So a larger needle with a mighty big eye that you could put all sorts of yarn or whatever through. And there's plastic ones available, so those are always great for younger hands. Or older hands like mine when I'm having bad days with my achy hands or the tremors. Nice to have a tool like that on hand. Thanks for being out there, folks. Look at that. See? Put a question out there and it comes back. The resources are there. People are thinking. When I don't have an answer, there's usually someone in the hive that does. That is what I love about art hives, virtual or otherwise. So many amazing creators out there, so many amazing brains. People of resource and capacity who are always excited or interested in sharing and being available for other folks when they need them. Let's squish this down a little bit. I wonder what would happen if. That magic what if again coming back. What if I wove some wire into this right now? I'm just looking around to see if I have anything else on hand wire-wise that might work. I'm going to see. Okay. So I'm going to cut perhaps a longer piece than what I would need, because I might double back. I might choose to keep it a little loose, a little curly-Q-like. And of course, speaking of needles again for weaving, in a pinch at the studio, there have been times where we've used pipe cleaners to make needles for larger projects, for things with, the plastic lace and things like that. So that's on top. There we go. So I'm going to under. I don't know why I had this craving today to mix the industrial with this softness. I don't know. I've never done it before, so I don't know what it's going to look like or how it's going to turn out. But there might be something interesting there. And I like the glint that it gives. I like that very much. Kind of edge to it. And I am going to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that again and I'm going to weave this over top. It has the feel of, oh, what is it, like a willow fence as well. Just with wire. Again, just coming back to this theme of structure. What themes are in folks' lives right now when you're working? Do you find that you have those days where it's almost like at the end of the day you could give your day a title, like it was a movie? A theme that was just present in your mind, hanging around? So I will play with that later. I love it, love it, love it. I actually really, really love that. Okay, so I'm going to just go around and weave underneath this then. Experimentation. Let's see where this takes us. I haven't seen anything in person in almost 2 years, but I've seen some beautiful woven sculptures appearing out there in the world. Beautiful natural things made out of willow and things like that, different natural elements to create spaces and rooms in the outdoors, and extraordinary art pieces that live in the middle of forests or parks, waiting for someone to stumble upon them. Something about combining those things. I suppose there are many different kinds of weaving out there. Someone was asking the other day about our plastic bag, our milk bag loom again, and we're hoping to have that. Yeah, that's a really great thing to carry around in the mobile art hive. It's a great community project. Just when we're parked somewhere, to pull it out and see who approaches, see who asks about it. And again, weaving with non-traditional materials. Love, love, love. And weaving with wire is nothing new. I've also seen people crochet with wire before. There's probably people out there watching right now who have crocheted with wire. Some lovely, lovely effects from that. Let's add some more of this warmth, this coppery, pinky kind of coral color here. Guess I can do this as well. Oh, are you going to be fussy? All right already. And there I go, talking to my yarn again. It's not the first time, is it, folks? Has anyone out there crocheted that was with wire before? I'd love to know what your experience with that was like. Ways of introducing those non-traditional, or maybe just non-traditional at this point in our traditions. Because I know that mail is a form, if you can think of mail, like chainmail as a form of fiber works, I suppose, weaving things together, weaving chain links together. And I imagine there must have been crochet applications of mail as well, of chainmail. It's nice to be reminded sometimes that there is nothing new under the sun. It also gives us permission to not feel like we have to be some sort of extraordinary inventor in what we do. That our work often benefits from being inspired by the work of other people. A little bit of art theft there. Someone out in the community. I made the mistake of sharing that quote with them. I can't remember who said this. So please, if you know who originally said this quote, please share. And maybe it's one of those gross artists like Picasso or something. But it holds true. This sense of all great artists steal. That's just what we do as creators, as humans. And I told them, this community member, that, and they've never let me live it down. The sense that thievery is rife within the creative community. I suppose consent is also important in those cases. We can, depending on who the artist is. I'm inspired by so many people, and sometimes we don't realize who we're inspired by. Oh, excellent. So Wendy's saying, I have crocheted wired with beads. That's amazing. I found that sometimes it would get crimped and then it was hard to smooth it out. Yeah, I think that's some of the feedback I've heard from other folks too, that it can be tricky to work with. And if you have a specific thing that you're working towards and it gets crimped, you can't really go back with material like that. So I don't know. Who knows? I'd love to see some of that work one day. Maybe I have, and I've just forgotten about it. But I do like that. I love introducing the softness with that tension. I love bringing together those opposites. And Brandon's saying yes, and build on great ideas. So when it comes to stealing, it's not so much stealing. Maybe it's about being inspired. Maybe it's about making something your own. I think that's when things really work, isn't it? When we don't rely on someone else's vision, but we use a technique or something as a leaping off point. Again, this idea that even if we were trying to copy someone else's work, chances are if our heart was in it and we were creating for the right reasons for ourselves, we wouldn't even be able to, I think it would be so impossible to replicate someone else's work. I really do believe that. The telltale signs of us would be all over it, which is maybe a good thing. So we build upon it. Yeah, we build upon it. Don't miss that stitch. Mary, what you doing? What you doing? Oh, I missed another stitch somewhere. Weaving problems. Here we go. I missed a stitch at the very end. Oh, Cronert. And as we're talking about, borrowing ideas and being inspired, of course, we have to acknowledge cultural appropriation as well, and the importance of honoring where our influences have come from, if they are influenced by specific things that are not a part of our own lived experience. And I think that conversation comes up from time to time, but we don't linger on it too much within the art world, especially within, Art Hive world. Because we're so excited to see people just creating for the sake of creating. It's a difficult thing. We don't want to stomp out any impulses that folks might have. But always a good thing to try and keep in mind that if something is happening that the creativity is directly borrowed from someone else, particularly if it speaks to another culture or race, or so strongly identified with something that you don't necessarily identify with yourself, but you love the aesthetic of it, it's a good time to take a step back and check in and maybe just reach out to ask if it's okay to borrow an idea or to let something evolve. When in doubt, ask. And sometimes I'm guilty of that as well, so we all have those moments. More wire. A wire crocheting workshop. Was it a frustrating thing to do? I'm interested. I think if it would be something to introduce to the community, if it would be something like in a workshop capacity or something like that, or if it's a little more advanced. Well, one day we'll maybe take a go at it. Even just using wires to make knots, and which I guess is what crochet is, or macrame, really. There might be something really interesting in that on a larger scale. Hello, Simone. Welcome. And Simone, what are you working on today? Although I think I might have an idea. We've got greenhouses being built. We've got floors being insulated. We've got gift tags and cards being made for the holidays. And if Shelley's still out there watching, I'm not sure what Shelley was working on. Always something creative going on in Shelley's life, though. Working on a little weaving here, reflecting on structure, the importance or the value of structure. And hanging in there, getting started. The things that inspire us and actually motivate us to get stuck in on things as artists, as makers. Oh, no, you don't. Little wire there. Forgive me for futzing. It's another reason I remember why I don't necessarily do these kind of things on here, because I get so involved in them I forget and I pull them out of frame for the camera. Oh, and thank you, Wendy. Wendy's saying crocheting wire can be very simple, can look lovely with just a chain stitch. I know a chain. I know that one, Wendy. I know it. I can do it. I learned the chain stitch. Oh, I learned how to chain stitch with my fingers for a show I was in years ago. The Miracle Worker, I believe it was, at Young People's Theater. And so I remember that was the one thing, that was my introduction to crochet through that show, actually. And I've dallied, I've played with it, I've experimented with it over time. But never enough to really learn about, how to make a granny square, for example, which I would love to do. I would love to know how to do that. Just feels like something that would be nice to do. So, all right. Crocheting wires can be very simple, says Wendy. Wendy, I think we're looking for those when those wire donations come in. Although I suppose it needs to be a specific kind of wire to chain stitch with. to crochet with, but I'll keep an eye out for it. And Mary, just don't get too absorbed in this. Just absorbed enough. I always think just because it's a mini loom that it'll be faster to do, and I suppose it is, and compared to a larger loom like a placemat loom or a cloth loom. But even mini looms take time. Let's see, so under, oh no, did I miss another stitch? Did I miss another stitch, folks? Here we go. No, wait, what? What's happening? Oh, there, maybe somewhere there. You know what? It's just going to be what it is. It's just going to be what it is. I'm going to do a little bit of double there and get back on track, and all will be well. It will be part of the piece. I will integrate the errors as concept. Something I imagine a lot of artists do as well in the work. Then get back on track if you want. I could do, I love, there's in weaving, there's all these lovely stitches where you loop around the, is it the weft? Is that the one that goes across like that? Yeah, there's lots of lovely things that can be done outside of the straight, over and under that I'm doing. There's a world of weaving out there. Oh, wait here, hold on. I don't want you to get caught around that wire, not just yet. And Wendy, I see you so updated about the kind of wire to use. Interesting, coated wire works best to keep crimping manageable. So I think those look like the more colorful spools of wire we generally see. Or is it just is it a specific kind of jewelry wire that you would look for and use? I'm imagining that. I can Google that. You know what? I can Google that. And Simone saying, it's not a bug, it's a feature. That's it exactly. The mistakes are actually meant to be there. And that's Simone's new favorite artist's phrase. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And I like that as well because it makes me think of my brain like it's a computer. And any bugs that I have in my computer brain are meant to be there, whether you look at it, however you'd like to look at that phrase. Perfection is overrated. And the quirks are sometimes the things that make things interesting. Whatever the thing is you might be working on. All right, there we go. I had one of those reading glasses moments where I just tried to look over my nose like I had glasses on, but I'm not actually wearing any glasses. And I think it'll actually help me to kind of squint my eyes and look down. Oh, Mary, 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 Mary. I can't believe it. So what? So it's 3:15, 3:16 already. So we've got 15 more minutes. So I'm integrating the wire into the weaving, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to have this weaving done to remove from the loom and wrap into a frame. So that's something I'm going to be doing on my own, I think. And maybe bringing back. Maybe next week can be just about the wire. We'll see. Or maybe I'll work on it in the virtual art hive we have. And folks, if you're ever looking for something to do, Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. we have a virtual art hive Zoom where we go, we chat, we connect, we create, really informal, self-guided, kind of like being in the art hive itself. Waking up over our coffees and getting creative. Let's see what that's looking like right now. A little bit of a close-up. This is good for me too. It's nice seeing it in a different frame. Ah, interesting. So you can see, I don't know how clearly it comes across, but I love the glint of the wire. I love how it's resisting against the other fibers around it and creating little windows, little spaces. That will be fun to play with later. I'll get the pliers out and do some twisting and curling and weaving them in. And if I add a frame onto it, then maybe I can even wrap those around, or I can link the frame to those. Interesting, interesting. We shall see, we shall see. But for now, one more lap of this, and then maybe I'll go back to using some solid white and solid green. The other question we've been asking Simone is, what do you do to help get you started on something? What is the thing that helps get you stuck in, even on those days where you're feeling like maybe you were feeling inspired and ready and you were going to build it into your day when you finish that job, when I'm going to wait, when that have the time, and then that time comes and you're just not up to it. I mean, again, it's totally okay. I think there are many times, many moments in my life where I have to accept that moment as maybe I've just used up all my spoons for the day, and that's where it's at. But I also know that sometimes getting started, just committing something, whether it's, writing a few words on paper or getting stuck in the project, that can be the thing that I'm most in need of at that time. That it can be the thing that helps me relax and ground down and feel truly present in my day. Whereas before, perhaps I wasn't. Before, maybe just feeling like I was going through the motions, having to do these other things. So still a great question, and I'm still interested in anyone has any, if there's things that work for you, what are the things that help you get through, that actually help you do the things you need to do, but also the things that you want to do? Especially as things get busier, I think, at least I know I'm going to be needing to remind myself of that. I know I'm going to be having to protect time for the things I actually want to do this holiday season. I think I know what happened. No, I didn't. All right, that's good. All right, fair enough. Me talking to myself again. So, over, under. Forgive me as I talk through my weaving here. Oh, maybe this one did get pulled in. Ha ha ha, I see. There we go. I'll trim that. Just because I'm asking questions of you folks, it doesn't mean you have to answer at all. But if you do feel like it, or if you're watching later, or if something pops into your mind, let us know. And of course, if there's something you want to share with us, if anyone is working on things, hey, Laura, if there are things you're working on that you want to share, please feel free to pop them into the show and tell post that we put up after every live stream, every Wednesday live stream. And how are you doing, Laura? How is your day going? You're someone who I know can be very, very busy with a lot of projects on the go. How do you protect space for yourself to create? No need to answer just because I asked. Perhaps it's just something that we all think about. I don't know. I am curious, though. I don't know what the story of this weaving is yet. Such a structured thing to do. I think I need to take some new risks with it. The wire isn't enough. if you know what I mean. And Laura saying, oh, finding time for things I want to do versus things I need to do. Yeah, the never-ending battle. Yeah, I think all of us here can relate to that. And hoping that the things we want to do don't end up turning into or feeling like chores. Which is another reason why I would never ever judge folks. Sometimes people will message me and they'll say, I'm sorry I missed the live stream, and that is okay. It is not your job to be here. Your only job is to take care of yourself, to do what you need to do. Is this right? Yes. Yes. There we go. Yeah, to take care of you. Laura says, yeah, expanding on that idea, work plus dealing with insurance stuff. Oh, this is your life right now. People not doing things right, but I sorted it out. This is why I have trouble not doing all the things myself. I think that is another thing that a lot of folks in this live stream might be able to relate to as well. Wanting sort of like, what is that? A trust feeling? Is it a delegation thing? Is it simply, oh, let me do it because I can do it faster myself? I don't know. And Simone's saying, I put it off until I feel like I want to do it. I feel like collecting all the materials is part of the starting the project. Overall, I try not to rush. It's hard to respect that because I have a passion for so many different art forms / mediums, but I have to remember that I'm the one who gets to decide. I don't push myself to do things until I'm ready and have that coveted creative energy for the specific project. And this can take time. Time in all caps. Yep, that's a beautiful way to look at it. A beautiful way to look at it, Simone. Well, sometimes that just sitting down and getting stuck in can be exactly what's needed to help you fall into something, to remember how much it gives you. It's also completely all right to wait until you feel called to it, to give yourself permission to let that project or that work approach you. And chances are, yeah, there will be time. And so what if things don't get finished? Or, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's okay for things not to be finished. So Laura's saying tea and then back to sewing my thing I've been trying to make since the weekend. Lovely. I mean, speaking of little tips and tricks, and I was talking before about we're using timers sometime to help me with projects and tasks that I work on, because sometimes I can get lost in certain things that I don't really want to invest my time in, and find myself regretting giving away so much of myself to certain things. Oh, I see. Okay, oh, here. There we go. Timers have helped me just to manage the little things in my day, or things that I want to be little things, a little bit better. Oh, I'm going to have to get back on track on this. Look at that. Dropped stitches again. And then timers can help, but also sometimes little rewards. Sometimes that's a nice thing as well. A little cup of tea, a cookie, something to help prepare the setting, make the stage nice, attractive, appealing, so that you want to create something, you want to get stuck in with something. But I know, again, like this, Simone, this was a conversation that was a little bit earlier. I was just reflecting on sometimes how I have all these great ideas about things I want to do for gifts and for, this time of year it can be, can be on the mind. And how rare it actually is that I actually complete something for someone, or that I feel a little frustrated when it comes down to it at the end. And I suppose that's just a case of us and me specifically being hard on myself and not giving myself permission to let things be what they need to be in the moment. There we go. little weavings, little projects that take longer than you think they've been. They will. And Simone, thank you, saying, yep, been there. And I think I must have a box somewhere with, Christmas projects that are halfway through, or gifts that I've been meaning to make and finish for people. And maybe it's just about finding that box and sitting down with it and seeing what surprises are inside. Some blue. And I know I should be wrapping up. It's 3:27 and I should be wrapping up, but I am enjoying this. Maybe a little bolt of blue running through this. Just a little bolt of blue. Ah, yes, Simone, a nice reminder. Simone saying, we expect so much of ourselves and our art. We have to remember to let it be done in its own time. Yeah, in its own time. And Laura says, gifts that I made and never gave. It sounds like this could be the title of our autobiographies or something. I feel like there's something there. Or the album. If we're going to record an album, maybe that would be the name of the album. The Art Hive Singers, gifts that I've made and never gave. Simone saying, I told my sister I'd make her resin coasters with little dogs in them in the summer. Oh, that's awesome. And you just finished them for her birthday the other day. When I say time, I mean time. That's a lovely thing, and what a lovely gift. And I want to see those tiny dogs in those coasters. That sounds really super cute and adorable. And I suppose that's why a lot of artists aren't really fond of commissions. Because there's something about having structure can be really helpful sometimes, and structure can also cause us to freak out. It can be something that brings in a little anxiety. It's like, what is the best kind of structure for the creative person you are, or each one of us is? Maybe that's the question to reflect on and answer for ourselves, so that we can avoid feeling that stress and actually use the time we have to create what we want to create in the most meaningful way possible. Maybe that's what it is. Different projects, different kinds of energies. And Laura's saying, gifts that I made and never gave. Maybe not a title, but definitely a chapter in your autobiography. And what a beautiful chapter that will be. Inspiring. I think that'll be a super inspiring chapter. All right. This weaving project could take me into tomorrow. But I think I do need to put it aside for now. I think I need to put it aside for now. And stop pulling it out of frame, I think, as well. Come on, Kronert. Weaving is one of those projects. Just one more. Just one more. One more row. One more row. And maybe here, because this is one of the areas where I've messed up, I'll do a little bit of wrapping. And maybe that will help get me back on track. Or maybe it'll become a delicious, delightful bug that helps it become better in its weirdness. There we go. So for now, this is where it sits, my weaving with the bolt of blue in its frame with wires. Interesting. I like it. And Laura's saying, I had something for a friend when I found out she was pregnant, and COVID made sure I didn't get it to her until after his first birthday. A just because gift. Yeah, why not? I think timing during this strange time that we have and that we're spending with one another together is, I think we can give ourselves permission to let it stretch and fall where it may, because it's hard. It's hard to make plans. It's hard to anticipate when things will be able to happen and what we'll be able to do. There's only so much that we have control over. And yeah, a little bit of structure might help us get certain things done when we hope to get them done, but doesn't always mean that, yeah, we'll be able to see the ending, the wrapping up of it in the way that we wanted to. So going with the flow like that, excellent. That's all we can do sometimes. And maybe it's the best way to be all the time. Maybe. I don't know. But maybe. Let's take another close-up of this and see. All right. Here we go. So just looking at the weaving, trying to get a little frame of it there. So far, so good. I am liking this. It's nice, it's simple. But we'll see what happens when I take out that wire and remove it from the loom. You never know. And maybe I'll find some of that crochet wire. Maybe I'll dig around, do a little shopping and find some of that crochet wire and weave it in over top of this as well and through it. Who knows? Maybe I can wrap the wire that is already in there to get a certain kind of effect. Maybe add some beads into it. I don't know. Lots to do. Lots I can do. Always. And it comes back to that one subject of there's so many things I want to do, so many creative things I want to make, so many gifts I'd like to create and share with folks in the community. All I can do is be here right now in this moment, appreciating what I've had time to create. Make time for it when I can, protect that creative space when I can, which is one of the reasons I love these live streams so much. But then also be kind to myself and remember that not everything's going to get done. But maybe the things that need to get done will get done. Maybe. Folks, thank you so much for joining me today and being here, a part of this live stream. And thank you to everyone who will be watching later when it's archived. I know you're out there, and thank you for being there and contributing your energy as well. Yeah, things are going to be interesting moving forward towards the festive season. So let me know if there are things that you want to create or things you'd like to see me try with the studio, conversations that you'd like to have during the live streams. Please don't be shy. And as Laura said right there, I love that. Appreciate what you can do. Excellent. Because sometimes that's all we can do, and it's enough. At the end of the day, wherever we are at, whatever we've been able to accomplish or help happen, it's enough. It's enough for that day. And things will get done. I think generally the things that need to get done will get done. So why stress out so much about it? Says the person who always stresses out about everything. Ha ha! Together we can remind ourselves that maybe it's okay to take a breath and let some of that stress go. But thanks so much for being here, folks. And until we can connect and create with one another again in person, which I hope is sometime soon, I look forward to connecting and creating with you right here online. See you again soon, folks. Maybe in the writer's workshop that we have tomorrow. It's back at 10 a.m., but if not then, another time. We'll see you soon. Take care, stay safe, and allow space for that creativity. Allow it. Have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.